Welcome to this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast. I'm your host, Cyril Gerald Quinn, episode 828. As always, I'm joined by one Robert Sapp. How you doing, Mr. Sapp?
Oh, I'm doing really good. Glad to be here. Talk some sports.
Yeah, we do. We are, right in the middle of the NBA playoffs, Eastern second semifinals. Like we mentioned before, this is the round that really, separates the pretenders are done. The pretenders are gone. Now we're gonna see what the contenders are looking like. And last night, we saw a couple of teams get even up their series. The home teams got, even things up. Boston and of course Memphis. Of course, Memphis had a much more difficult time certainly than Boston. Just to get on, in terms of Boston, right? So I wasn't surprised by the game. Wasn't surprised by the outcome in the Boston game. This is a classic, game. It's a classic game too, and where the home team loses. So, home team loses in game one. They get punched in the mouth. Come out game two desperate. Milwaukee's already done his job. Let's go back to Milwaukee 1-1 and see where we go from here. A couple of things that have jumped out so far. You have Boston, first two games have attempted 93 3-point shots. Giannis is shooting 38% from the field for the series, 27% against Al Horford. Horford's held him to 6 of 22 when he's guarding him. And you have both teams really offensively have been limited. Neither has been great offensively in terms of being consistent. Boston was bad in game one. Milwaukee was bad in game two. What are some of your thoughts that you've seen from these first two games?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with pretty much everything that you've said. I just looked at last game with when I heard the news that Marcus Smart was going to be out, all types of really bad and negative thoughts started running through my head. I definitely started thinking sweep.
Right.
And so I was very excited to see that Milwaukee had predetermined that they were good with that first win.
Yeah,
I was very happy because you're absolutely right. And if Marcus Smart had been there, it would have been 1,000% the prototypical game, just as you described. So I think just for last game, I think Milwaukee let an opportunity to compete because they didn't even try to compete.
The first half, yeah. First half, yeah, it was. They didn't.
Yeah, they just did. By that time, it was gone.
It was going over. Yeah.
I knew about it when it was like 38. Like whenever that time I was 38, I was like, okay, this game is over.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's predetermined this one. And so that's my only complaint in terms of the series overall. I just think that what we are seeing is two teams that are defensive stalwarts, and that the offenses are going to struggle to keep up with the adjustments that each team is making defensively, which is going to make for a fascinating series, but kind of like in the reverse of what we're used to. Because I mean, like, I talked about this a lot after the game one loss by the Celtics, and the amount of shots and what type of shots that they were putting up, or what type of shots they were putting up more specifically. And I just couldn't find a lot of adjustments that were going to need to be made other than they just have to make shots in order to loosen up that middle, right? Like they just have to make shots. And with Boston, because of the way that kind of like things have fallen, Chris Middleton not being there, everything like that, they have a similar idea in mind. Different team, different skill sets, all that. But we like, because of the defensive prowess that they have, the the longer, the Williams, and Horford, the Giannis stopper. I joked.
Sure.
In my head, but in terms of like just like the amount of long bodies that we can throw at Giannis for a full game is make his life as challenging as possible. And if the others beat you, so be it. If Holiday gets 45, then Holiday gets 45, and they win. So it's why I was listening to a bunch of different NBA podcasts, and I know that'll be an NBA player podcast. I know that'll be a topic a little bit later on. But one of the things that they were consistently saying about the times that you get in the playoffs, especially later in the playoffs and deeper in rounds and series, is what we all innately know, is that it becomes way less about the X's and O's and just about the fundamentals of just what is needed to win: extra plays, loose balls, turnovers, and making the shots and bounding, and just all the different things like that. And I think in this case, it really is as simple as, if the Celtics are going to win this series, then they're going to have to shoot well in order to loosen up that paint enough so that there are other options going on. Now, with that being said, I do think it's very similar circumstances. Best duo wins. If Brown and Tatum just show out, then they've reached another level, right? Kind of like how we saw Giannis reach another level in the finals last year. That would be the only other thing that I would say on the Celtics part of what would prove overwhelming to Milwaukee. I don't think Milwaukee's built to deal with two dynamic superstars and a full team around them. Not talking about Brooklyn. I'm talking about the Celtics. So I think that's the only other case. On Milwaukee's side, stay the course. They're defensive. They know what they are. They know what they are. Stay the course. If I do not believe the Celtics can shoot 3 more games like they did in this one, with Milwaukee completely predetermining their effort level, let's say. So I don't think that's the case. And I think they're going to need to become more physical and have to pound the paint a little bit. And if that's the case, then Milwaukee wins. It's just that simple. The Celtics are playing their game, and there's just no way. And Giannis is Giannis. Like there's no comparison. Giannis is Giannis. And so he's the best player on the floor, period. So if you're Milwaukee, you stay the course. And if you're the Celtics, you have a couple other things that need to happen, but they're not things that are unknown or some new formula or anything like that to win. And so ultimately you're probably looking at a 6-game series with Milwaukee come out on top.
So I completely agree with you from a defensive standpoint. I think that, like, first of all, everybody's talking about Boston's defense. Milwaukee has, in the playoffs, Milwaukee's had almost by far the best defense from a statistical standpoint. Defensive rating, Milwaukee's been number 1. I think people kind of people overlooked what they did in Chicago. Like Chicago couldn't score. So they're great defensively. They Brook Lopez on Milwaukee completely changes who they are defensively. Him being back. This year they were really inconsistent, but Brook Lopez missed almost 70 games. So he's back. It changes everything. I think scoring is, like you said, scoring is going to be very hard moving forward. And I think that favors Boston, because I don't think people realize how gifted Chris Middleton has been in the playoffs over the course of his career. I was looking at his numbers up today. He has been, for his career, Middleton is 25 and 6 for his career. I didn't realize that. With about almost 40% from, roughly about 43% from the field, close to 38, 39% from three-point range. And he's another ball handler, another creator of offense, a one-on-one player, a guy that can get his own shot. I just wonder, where is Milwaukee's offense going to come from? I don't even think, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Giannis could get 35 and 40. To me, if I'm Boston, the biggest thing they did yesterday, it wasn't, everybody overrated what they did to Giannis. Yesterday, because Giannis figured it out in the second half. Like, you can't stop him. He figured it out. That was a good thing for Milwaukee, that, he had 23 points in the second half, and really he did some stuff that was like, okay, all right, if I in the post, if I make decisions quicker offensively, these guys can't guard me. Nobody can guard him one-on-one. But they did, of course, they made him work throughout the course of the game. So that's fine. I think Giannis could get his points and Boston would be fine. The thing that Boston took away last night, that Giannis destroyed them, was the shooters. So Milwaukee goes 3 for 18 from three-point line. Not only was the 3 for 18, it was the only having 18 attempts from the three-point line. Like, first game one, they had 40 attempts. Game two, cut that in half. Matter of fact, that's the lowest amount of attempts they've had in Mike Budenholzer's tenure in the playoffs with Milwaukee, 18 in the playoff game. So to me, the Giannis assists are daggers. Like, he's one of the best in the league at finding those shooters. And like you saw in game one, he was like, looking like LeBron, how he just whipping passes and finding these open shooters. Again, they give Boston's defense a lot of credit. Those guys, Grayson Allen, Portis, Connington, they had no airspace whatsoever, none. Who's another shooter on there that they have? I forgot the other shooter that they have. Brook Lopez had no airspace. Everything was contested, or they forced them to take long 2-point shots, or funnel them into the Boston defense into the paint, where Boston wants you to, go against that's what they want. So I think that this series, like, to your point, it's gonna get uglier and uglier it's gonna be very hard to score. Very hard to score moving forward. And I think that favors Boston. I had Boston in 6. I'll say Boston even in 7.
I probably would have changed that to Milwaukee in 7. It will if Boston can shoot, then you are 100% correct. If they can keep up a shooting, because essentially they're doing what the Rockets stupidly just came out and flat out said they were going to do. Is they're trading a 3 for 2.
Right.
That is the simple game. That's the game plan in simplest form.
Right. Because
you're absolutely right. It's not even about the percentage. It's 18 in the modern in today's NBA. 18 threes is nothing.
No.
That's nothing.
No.
So you're absolutely right. They are inviting them to go after that mid-range as much as they want. And Giannis lives there and loves there, and they're fine with that. You have everything. I mean, we're saying the same thing. We're 100% correct on this. This series is not hard to read at all, what the teams are trying to do. To me, it's just I need to see it. I need to see Boston shoot that well over an entire series, because if it does, you're absolutely right. It's going to turn out Boston. There's no doubt in my mind. It's the playoffs. There's no everybody. 2-point big is fine. That's fine. It is just getting that one more point. What gives you that edge? That 3-point line. Period.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Jaylen Brown obviously had a horrible game game one.
Game one. That's what I thought. The young superstars, can they make that?
Can they? Yeah. Here's the thing. Can Jaylen Brown? Can you get against a great defense? I feel like I know what I'm going to get from Tatum, even if he doesn't shoot the ball well. He's going to be in that 25 to 30 range, somewhere near there. But can Jaylen Brown? Can you get 4 games out of Jaylen Brown, similar or to close to what you saw last night?
Yep. That's the question. That is absolutely the question. This is just prove it time now. This is just what it is. Prove it time. If you can do it, do it.
Yeah. So
this is the time against the defending champs. Yep. This is the time.
But yeah, it's good. Like I said, this will be going to be a long series. I really lean towards a game 7. I really
I agree with that. When I said that, I was like, nah, this feels like 7, not 6.
I really think that these teams are just like, are just that evenly matched. I give Boston obviously a slight edge without Middleton. I would expect that Smart will be back probably for game 3, considering game 3 is not until Saturday. And yeah, no, this is a knockdown, drag out series. But to my point, I just think I think Giannis, the facilitator, is actually more dangerous than Giannis, the scorer in this series. I think his assists actually hurt you more than his actual points.
Especially if you can get them their wide open shots.
Yeah,
those wide open.
Like I said, game 1.
If they can get him, if he can, you're right. It'll be deadly.
Because they might have got last night. They might have had I would say 3 open shots, if that. There was no airspace. I mean, they were making those guys put the ball on the floor. And again, outside of Jrue Holiday, there's no guy that you want dribbling outside of Giannis without Middleton now. You don't want anybody putting the ball on the floor trying to create offense outside of Holiday and of course Giannis. Again, that's where you miss of course Chris Middleton. So we'll see what happens. We both like this to be a very long series. Middleton probably's not going to be back. I'll be borderline shocked if he's back. I know there have been some whispers about it. It's an MCL. I know guys come back quick from these injuries. Robert Williams came back, but even Robert Williams was like a month. This literally just happened. Only Giannis could do that and have a
Kevin Durant with the Warriors is the cautionary tale.
Yes.
The cautionary tale.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't
everybody's not Giannis. Giannis came back from a hyperextended knee in 1 week.
We're not going on Giannis.
They call they call him the freak for a reason.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. No. Everybody be dead.
Yeah,
no, we're not doing Giannis timeline. No. No.
So also last night you had Memphis.
Not come back till you get the 110% bill of health. No.
Last night, of course, you also had Memphis evening up their series in a very entertaining, to say the least, game.
This is a great. This is a fun series.
This is the most entertaining, just pure entertainment. I'm enjoying. This is going to be the best of the second round series in terms of pure entertainment. A couple things out of Ja Morant. So Ja Morant goes for 47 points. In this series, he is averaging 48 and 9 and shooting the ball well from the field and from 3-point line. He has outscored Clay and Steph combined 81-76. It's shaping up as just we just don't have we have no answer for this guy. And are we seeing a guy not so much single-handedly beat the Warriors, but is Ja Morant going to do what, say, LeBron did in 2008 against the Celtics and basically single-handedly take them to a 7th game against obviously a superior team? It's really looking like it's shaping up that could be the potential. Again, now listen, Golden State did his job, and unlike Milwaukee, Golden State was actually trying to win game 2.
No, Golden State was playing.
Yeah,
that was a game. They were playing. Game. They were not giving up that victory at all.
They made Memphis earn it without question. But again, right now, Ja has been by far and away the best player in this series. It's not even close.
Sometimes it doesn't take deep analysis.
No.
It really doesn't. They got to stop them. They don't stop and they lose. It's just that it honestly is that simple.
Yeah.
We got to stop. They got to find a way. When I looked around at Memphis and I was watching that game, I'm just like, yo, y'all got to get the billy clubs out. You guys, nobody else can do this to y'all. And it's not the same thing as what Boston did to Durant or even what they're trying to do to Giannis. because I was again, it's just so it's great that we're gonna have the conversation we're having later because I told you like I'm digging Draymond way more, and the reason I'm doing way more is I'm listening to this podcast, and he was saying one thing. When no, he was on the JJ Redick podcast. That's what it was. I was listening to him and Redick. Redick asked him the question, who are the hardest players for you to defend, everything like that. And of course he says LeBron and Chris Paul, but then he goes, the ones coming up is Morant. He's like, the only reason I can't put him with LeBron and Chris Paul in terms of basketball IQ, that's what they were talking about, basketball IQ, not greatest player or anything like that, basketball IQ. And what Draymond was saying, I'm resetting the conversation. What Draymond was saying was that in terms of the players he can feel the chess match happening with, like them trying to outthink him and everything like that, and on equal footing. Of course, he's putting himself high up there, and JJ Redick was as well. Was then he said LeBron, Chris Paul. He said the next one is Morant, and I say that to say that Morant has cracked the code. He as I was watching, I was like, he's equally as athletic as Westbrook and Rose in their prime, but so much more under control and so much more intelligent. I'm like, he's a problem, like problem with capital MF and P. And if he has that will and that desire and that love for the game to go to that next level that only the elite goes, woo. If he has that intangible, wow. What he did to Poole was ridiculous. He just had, but I say that to say he had them all looking silly out there at points in time.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no. I'm just like so let me dial it back a little bit. I believe that, of course, the defensive game plan has to be how to stop him. I believe that'll be harder than in this match. I also can see a series a la, since we're just bringing up great names, a la Jordan against the Celtics way back in the day, where Ja has like an unbelievable series, but yet they still lose the series, right? Because the talent level around him is not where it needs to be in order to overtake a seasoned team like the Warriors. So I can see it going either way. But point being, to give themselves the best chance to win, this is not a situation where they can just go, Ja can get his. And we just got worried about stopping.
No, y'all got to corral him. Yeah, he can't.
I got to stop him.
Like now, yeah, we're gonna talk about Phoenix. Luka can average 40 and they can lose.
Sure.
Ja can't. Like Ja can't. Yeah.
No.
Those 40, his 40 hurts a lot.
So because here's the difference. Luka's looking to slow the game down to get his shot, right? And to kind of limit the possessions of the other team. But he doesn't have the defensive help in order in those possessions being limited. That won't be good possessions for the other team. That would work well if he had other defensive play, if he had a defensive team around him that could then limit the type of shots that the other team gets. Because Dallas has no defense. Let's just keep it real. They have no defense.
They've been good this year, but Phoenix has ripped them up in game one. Like,
okay, fine.
They have been good this year.
You understand why they don't have. You're right. Let me make.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Let me make it matchup specific, but you're right. Let me make it matchup specific. Against Phoenix, they don't have the personnel to limit the quality of possessions the other team has. So you can just be there. It's like Harden, right? With Houston all those years, right? Like it's just like you can let him dribble, get his shot. Yep. Everybody else runs up the floor, and we get an even better shot. Then we come back down, and he dribbles, he gets his shot. Everybody runs up the floor, we get a better shot. And then eventually you got to take him out of the game. Eventually you get tired, and then there's nobody else that can pick up that slack. With Ja is wearing out the entire defense, chasing his ass around, trying to stop him. And so he's effectively discombobulating when he's on like he was last night.
And Golden State just
season.
lost Gary Payton Jr., so that's a big loss compared. Like that's another body that would have been, on him.
Yep. And through that discombobulation, he can get just definitely at least last night. He could get his shot whenever he wanted. It was not a problem at all. But then he can also get everybody else their shots because they're all over the place trying to figure him out. And to both our points with the intelligence, he puts it where the players need it.
So obviously good news for Golden State is they're going home. They did what they needed to do.
Absolutely.
And through these first two games, Memphis is actually out shooting them from the 3-point line, 30-21. I don't see that keeping up, to be honest with you. Like I don't see it envision a series where Memphis is going to make more 3-pointers than Golden State. So if you're Golden State, you have that going for you. Again, two major problems that I see. Obviously, Ja is problem number one, but the second thing is that lineup that Golden State was able to play, that depth lineup. If Jaren Jackson's on the floor, they can't play that lineup because he's punishing them with his size. He's punishing them. Like they can't play that small ball with Jaren with Draymond at the 5.
That's the antidote to that lineup.
Yes, size is the 100%.
You need a talented scorer there as well. Not dominant. You just need size like a DeAndre Jordan or Andre Drummond doesn't matter.
No. Like you have a DeAndre Ayton or Jaren Jackson type. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, those guys can hurt you.
Yeah. That takes that depth lineup. Get that out of here.
Yeah. So again, this series has been just. I've loved this series. The intensity. I listen. The play last night. Everybody's going crazy about the Dylan Brooks play. I've seen that play a million times. He mistimed the block shot. Got the flagrant 2. I'm not going to go any more than that. Like, get into the semantics of dirty play, whatever. Like, like I said, I've seen guys block a shot with that same type of swipe, block a shot.
That's just the wrong conversation to bring to us. Like, come on now, stop. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Let's come on now. Come on. We lived through the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not doing this with y'all. Not just y'all can go.
By the way, speaking of officiating,
37 minutes looking to see if he scraped him on his cheek, but no, I'm not. I'm not there.
Speaking of officiating, that play had no problem with it. That's an automatic flagrant 2, whatever. That's fine. Do we have to review every hard foul? Like,
apparently we do.
Apparently we do. I mean,
apparently we do.
My goodness.
Apparently we do. It's the worst. It is.
You talking about killing the game buzz and like the rhythm. Oh, it destroys the game.
I have to turn to something else. I can't watch it. I cannot.
No, I won't blame you.
I have to turn to something else. They've been lucky. Nothing's been so entertaining to keep me away from that game. But I'm telling you, like that, I'm like, nope, something else. I'll come back in 30 minutes or whatever and see what the ruling was. I'm not doing this. I'm not watching y'all just stand around and monitor.
Yeah,
who greenlit this? Like, come on now, NBA. Like, what the hell with y'all? And do some of these things that slow the most fast-paced game in sports down. Like, why do you do that?
I just couldn't imagine like hockey.
No, insane. It's just insane. It's insane. Who does this? Fourth quarter, everything's going. Nope. Now we need to stop this for 22 minutes to really analyze how far the elbow extended, and then look at like did his neck. I can't. There's just no way.
Yeah, no, it's dry. It'll drive you crazy. It will. I mean, it's something that I thought that they were getting better with over the course of this season. I didn't notice it as much, but it's really been embarrassing during the playoffs with some of these reviews. Like, what are we looking at?
They've got to stop it. They've got to. They've just got to.
So we spoke briefly about this. Of course, tonight you have 2 games. The other 2 game 2s. Well, we're gonna do because I got some Philly Harden stuff for later on, but as far as Luka and Phoenix, this just look. I mean, it's basically this is just basically one against three. You have Luka versus Paul, Aiden, and Booker, and by my math, three beats one all the time. So Dallas, I give Dallas a lot of credit. They did not fold. I've seen game ones where you're the underdog, you get hit in the mouth, you roll over and be like, all right, let's give them game two. Dallas at least kind of made Phoenix earn it from an offensive standpoint. Phoenix played a great offensive game, efficient, very efficient. Paul, Aiden, and Booker did what they do. Cam Johnson played well. Like Phoenix, seemingly didn't miss a shot. And again, Dallas, but I give Dallas credit for again for making it just making them just play 48 minutes, even though you never got the sense that they were ever a threat in that game. Luka
Every
is just
time Dallas tried to make a run, Phoenix would squash it, or Dallas would have a turnover.
Yep. Luka is
that's
just
what you mean. Yep, is never had it in doubt. It never felt in doubt. Sorry, keep going. Yep.
No, I'm saying in terms of Luka, it's just like this dude's just unstoppable. Like, he makes the game look so easy.
He can get a shot whenever
and he knows how to use his body. And it's like you put a smaller dude on him, forget about it. You're just gonna take him in the post. He cooks centers like Rudy Gobert probably still have PTSD.
That's not a thing.
There's nothing. There's nothing you could do with Luka. Like, but I'm saying this is a series that, like, if you're Phoenix, it's like, you can get 40, whatever. You got 45, we lost in the game, we won comfortably. So I just think if you're Dallas, if you're Phoenix, as long as you semi-control those 3-point shooters, that this will be a very, very short series. I think that I would lean towards Phoenix in 5. I think Luka will have one game. Luka will get you one game. He'll get you one game, but I can't see it going past that. If I'm Dallas as a franchise, obviously you need that second piece. You can, whether it be somebody like a Bradley Beal, Donovan Mitchell is going to be out there. But I'm also looking at this series to see who are the guys I can trust moving forward in playing against a championship caliber team. So that's what I'm looking at if I'm the Dallas Mavericks. We got the superstar. We have an MVP caliber player. What do we need next to go to that next step? Because Chad mentioned this on the thread. This, you can't have more. You can't make it this far and have less than you have to have minimum 2 All-Stars. Like that. There's no, like, we looking at these teams. All these teams that are good to great have multiple All-Stars. Where you look at Milwaukee, Boston, Phoenix, Golden State. One guy is that one man show is not. This is not going to happen at this point. So if you're Dallas, I'm looking at it. Like I said, I'm looking towards like the future, like right now. Of course, you're not going to concede this series, but in terms of the organization, what are your thoughts on this series?
I think Dallas can get this game tonight. I think
they do
not get this. I think if they do not get this game tonight, remind me who's at home.
No doubt, Phoenix is at home. This is game 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's all. I'm just making sure I'm not being crazy, because if they don't get this game tonight, then I'm saying it's a sweep.
Okay.
It's done. So I think this is their one. So I agree with your 4-1. I think this is their one right here. If they don't get this, they're not getting one. I don't see them getting one in Phoenix. That's the take that I'm having. Now, to everything that you're saying, I've been confused with what Dallas' motivation is since 2011, to be honest with you. I hold the opinion that Cuban was happy with one championship, and that's it. I think he's running a playbook back of one superstar and just wait it out until I don't know, championship falls in you. I honestly don't know what the strategy is. My expectation are 2 things. Luka leaves, because this story we've seen so many times before.
Right.
Lone superstar not getting help. This is prime Luka now. Like, we're in that window. Like, this is prime Luka. So do you waste his prime, or does he leave? Because if he stays, my opinion is he's one of the superstars that just never gets the championship. Stays loyal to Dallas for his whole career, but never gets the championship. Because
you're saying you think that you're saying that he will never win a championship in Dallas.
Think about Cuban's record, Ril.
Right.
Think about his record.
Right.
Is Cuban someone that you trust to construct a championship roster?
No.
So, and absolutely, after you dismantle the championship team, I've had no clue what they're doing. Honestly, zero clue. So they've seemed quite satisfied with the one-star model. They have not been on this train of trying to get multiple superstars. So
they thought Porzingis was that dude. They thought.
Yeah, no, I know what they thought. I know what they thought. So again, I'm not trusting Dallas in that model. I think ultimately, like, honestly, what I think is Luka leaves. That's ultimately what I think this is headed towards. But with that being said, the Mavericks, they're what Dallas was with prime Dirk.
Yep.
You know, they'll win a bunch of games in the regular season, and there'll be a shocking first round or a totally expected second round exit.
No, they're actually not even as good. Like prime Dirk, at least you had at one point you had Steve Nash, you had Michael Finley, then they had Jason Terry and Jason Kidd later on. So they're not even that good, to be honest with you.
They did compile Asian veterans at the
end. They did. No, they did.
That was the model at that time.
Yep.
And so they did do that. That model isn't going to work this time around.
No.
So yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. You know,
the most important point you made was Mark Cuban. Like what his track record as far as even like putting people who are making these decisions. Ultimately he's making the ultimate decisions. Like he's
he reminds me of
Jerry Jones.
Oh, no, I was gonna go Daniel Snyder. I was not going to.
Nah. He's better than Snyder.
Yeah. No. Here's why. Snyder's just less eloquent right now.
That's
Cuban's personable, but here's what I'm saying. Because you brought it up with the organizational point. Look at some of the accusations that have been.
Oh, you talking about? Oh, okay. I got you.
Right?
Yeah. I got you.
And then, here's my point. Because I think both of them fall in this category. They very much enjoy owning sports teams.
Yes.
But don't want to do the work of it. They like cheering on the side
they're fanboys. They're fanboys.
There you go. Yep. That's it. That's the word. You described it right there.
They're fanboys. Yep.
That's it. And so they get their peoples in there. Who knows? Their peoples is harassing, doing all these different things. Yep. They boys. It's a foul.
Yeah, Cuban's just smarter, but I get what you're saying now. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Snyder is the worst by far because he's just the worst in every single aspect. Even as dirty and grimy as he is, he can't put on the veneer of not being that. So he's just the worst.
Yeah.
At least Cuban can do the shows and the things that make him celebrity. Everybody just goes, "Oh, what a quirky owner." But
the most important,
I watched him dismantle a championship.
No, without question. But the most important point you said about Cuban is the off the field, off the court stuff that kind of just went away, like with the harassment in the workplaces. That's right up Daniel Snyder's alley. Like that's right there. Like that is right. That organization.
Cuban will put out a release that says, "Oh, I'm so and so about this," and
shed tears at a press conference. Yep.
Snyder won't even do that.
Snyder. That's what I'm saying. He's smarter than Snyder. Like Snyder's not even pretending to give a shit. That's the difference. That's the difference. Yep. So yeah, I see that kind of comparison from that standpoint. As far as
if Dallas is smart, they go to Luka. And they just map out. These are the players.
Let's be honest about the Luka. No,
these are players.
I'm so glad you bring the Luka point. The Luka thing up. let's be honest about the Luka thing, right? Luka actually fell into their lap. There are two because the Atlanta Hawks and Sacramento Kings decided. Well, Atlanta Hawks wanted to traded down, trade up to get Trae Young, and said, "Hey, we rather have Trae Young," basically. And the fucking Sacramento Kings passed on Sacramento and Phoenix both passed on Luka. So he actually just fell into their lap. So that I don't know if they get as much credit as they probably deserve because he actually just fell into their laps. To be honest with you, that was a bit. They got kind of lucky with Luka.
Yeah, I wasn't giving Dallas any credit
because you had multiple teams passed on him. Like literally, the Sacramento Kings literally said Marvin Bagley Jr. We rather have Marvin Bagley Jr. And that's why they're the Sacramento Kings. Marvin Bagley Jr.
Yeah. Nobody cares about that. Yes.
At least Trae Young's an all-star. It's still inexcusable because still inexcusable. But at least he's an all-star, and at least DeAndre Ayton is a borderline all-star. Marvin Bagley Jr. Yep. The series that I think is definitely going to be a sweep. That's looking like a sweep to me is this Philly Miami. Of course, you have no Joel Embiid. The first two games, surprise, he gets hurt again in the postseason. That didn't see that one coming. And it leaves Harden. And I don't first of all, I obviously don't want to see anybody get hurt, but James Harden kind of deserves this. He really like to be the lone all-star left, or the lone former all-star, because he's not an all-star right now, but the lone guy on that team who is left, considering what he's done in his last two spots, kind of deserves this. Like the basketball guys are kind of like saying, okay, this is what you get. You wanted Philly, you got Philly. And I looked at looking at the Harden throughout the playoffs so far. They played 7 games. He's about 18, 9, and 5, shooting 40% from the field, less than 40% from the 3-point line. Forget about the numbers. He just looks like a guy. Forget about an all-star. He looks like a barely above rotational player right now. Like he looks bad. And this is nothing new for us to see Harden not come up big in the playoffs. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. But at least in the past, when he wasn't coming up big, he can compile numbers that kind of would somewhat mirage to the geeks that, hey, he actually wasn't as bad as we thought, or he at least he averaged 30 and so and so. Now you have the choking without the numbers. What are your thoughts on what you've seen out of Harden in these playoffs so far?
This was the easiest thing in the world to call.
Yep.
It's like saying the sun is going to come out tomorrow. Harden's going to disappear in the playoffs. I mean, it's just the easiest thing to call. It's just, there was no question, no doubt, no thing. I knew we talked about this. I knew the regular season would be fine, whatever. And then the pressure would get ratcheted up in the playoffs, and the further it go, the shorter he comes. Now, I mean, like, you were 100% right. Like, anything outside of a sweep, I'll be shot. Just keep it straight up real. I don't expect Philly to win the game. And now the excuse is there. It's so easy now for him to disappear. It's so easy. This isn't even a challenge of figuring out why. It's exactly what my expectation is we will see exactly what we saw in San Antonio, but to a greater, not even to a greater degree, but to your point, he doesn't even have the skill set anymore to even pretend he can do anything. So even when he's out there, he's going to be getting roasted. And then because he's going to be getting roasted and can't compete, can't even look whatever, competing, we're going to see less of Harden. Remember that shot of him with the towel when he was sitting down?
Yeah.
And I expect to see a lot of that. Except I think he'll be in a chair, on the floor because he's older. And being on the floor hurts your back and your body more. So he'll be in a chair with a towel, and Philly can roast him.
Yeah. This thing's going. It's going to get ugly. Oh, it's going to get ugly. And
I mean,
the Philly media. I mean, no, we're not surprised with the Philly.
I mean, look, I can't understand why y'all would even take up for him in the first place. So yeah, go now. You get to roast them.
Yeah.
But shame on you for wanting Harden. That's all I have to say. Shame on you for wanting Harden. So I don't have a lot of empathy, to be honest with you.
No, we don't. No, of course not. No. It's. I mean, I get. Yeah. No, and yeah, I just don't see how you get that dude $250 million. I don't like. I don't see how you do it. They're gonna do it, but I don't see how you do it. I don't.
How much money did y'all pay Westbrook this season?
Yeah. I mean, we're not the poster child.
No, y'all not the primary contract. Yeah, I just was wondering.
Yeah, 47. He was our highest paid player. Our highest paid player, by the way. And it was
a lot of money.
Yes, that's a lot of ducats, a lot of money, a lot of money for
not a lot of
production, not a lot of production. Nope, not a lot of bang for the buck.
No, but I think all these things, like, to be real, like I'm messing around with you, but I think all these things are necessary to happen.
Yes,
because I think like this leads exactly. I mean, this plays off the Luka conversation so perfectly. It's not about compiling names. I mean, it never has been, but for whatever reason, I think the NBA went down a dark path for a few years where it was just about compiling names and particularly players who enjoy playing with each other and like, yes, let's just get together. And it turns out you need a lot more than that, just two great players who like each other to win an NBA championship. Who knew?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of these franchises are finding out that you have to be smart in roster construction and contracts that you bring in, especially these contending teams. I'm not talking about the dregs of the league. So I think things like this need to happen. That's the only thing that might give this Luka thing a chance is if people actually go, all right, we have this great player or these sets of great players. These are their skill sets. Now, how do we complement that? Not just how do we bring in the next biggest name.
Yep.
And so this is a lesson that the bill has come due. This is the lesson that needed to happen because none of that the situation we're talking about, Brooklyn, Philly, LA, these different things. None of those situations made sense originally, and they're playing out the way that they need to play out. And so when we talk about Harden and you talk about the basketball guys and everything, it's 100% right. There is no way that this combination, the way that it was brought together, could yield an NBA championship. It would be an abomination to all that is holy in basketball if somehow Embiid and Harden won a championship. It would set basketball back, I don't even know how long. Yes, I'm being over dramatic, but I don't care.
No, but you're right.
So it had to happen this way. And this is also, to the Kevin Durant, James Harden, people who are thinking like them as well. It's just like, yo, you can't skip steps in this.
No.
If you're the great player, being the great player on the biggest stage will always find you. It will always find you. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And no amount of all-stars can hide you from that.
No. 100% right. Biggest disappointments of the week. I actually should have flipped this. I should have flipped this. Let's go with the we're gonna do
so happy.
We're gonna get the football. Yeah, we'll get to the football.
I was not expecting to talk about the Patriots. I'm so happy that you
so the reason why I had Draymond Green. This is why I had Draymond Green. So he gets elbowed, cuts his eye, blah, 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 gets a couple stitches, comes back. That's fine. So he gets to his press conference, his post-game presser. This guy has a gift of gab. Like Draymond post-game press concept. Do you know me? Draymond post-game pressers are minimum 7 to 8 minutes, minimum. Sometimes they even go longer than that, which is a lot. This one was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Obviously, not happy they lost the game, so on and so on. But they're asking him about the cut on the eye about that, the elbow. I don't think he had a major problem with it. Then of course he gives the Memphis fans the flags, the middle finger, 2 middle fingers. So he was like, Draymond, why'd you flip off the fans? He was like, well, they were booing me as I'm bleeding out my eye. I could have been concussed. And he's like, they deserve. He's like, if you boo someone who's bleeding out their eye, you deserve to get flipped off. I was like, really, Draymond? That's what we doing. That's what we doing. Like
creating something that doesn't exist.
Really, Draymond? You can't.
Like
you
the
can't
Kyrie
be,
Boston stuff.
convenient villain.
You create stuff. Nobody. There's nothing between Memphis and
Draymond Green. Nothing.
There's nothing. There's nothing. Nothing. He's creating something that doesn't exist.
I'm like, brother, you can't be the convenient villain.
Yeah,
it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't exist. It just flat out doesn't exist.
Like this is like, what are we doing here, Draymond? Like, what really? This is what we do. What? I'm like, come on, man. You get like, yeah, they're booing you. You're on the road. Like, what did you? This is not.
He created something that is not.
Yeah. This is not like so. This is not Toronto fans cheering Kevin Durant when he's with the Achilles. Like that was classless. Yeah, this is not that. So I was like, come on, man. You're just doing the most.
And you know what? Honestly, let's keep it real. Let's keep it all the way real. I'm in the mood to keep it real. I'm a fan. If I see the other best player go down, I'm excited about that. I'm gonna keep it all the way real.
Yeah, yes.
Right? Like Dan is best on best. So it's just like this fallacy that I'm supposed to. Now, of course, once you understand it's something significant, severe, then you change. Of course, you change. You don't want anybody.
Yeah, the Toronto thing in the finals.
My mind,
that was classic.
I don't want any human. I don't want the human being side of the athlete to suffer anyway. But I damn sure want the best player off that court, off that field, whatever it is. I damn sure want that. That's why they know that all that. They know this. This is nothing new. They've been playing this game all their lives. Like let's stop. Draymond, stop.
Let's get to the Patriots. So here's what
I sent you that video, right?
Yeah. I saw.
Yeah, you were the first one.
That shit, yo. Those dudes were perplexed. Like, they were perplexed. It was like they were just like, it was like, yo, we can't even process what we just witnessed. That's what it felt like. It's like, what? They're like, what is, like, they were so hot. They were so heated, man. Oh, they were pissed off. And they had to be. It was one of those things where
I know nothing about him, but his name brings me great happiness.
But it was one of those things where it wasn't even like, it wasn't even like it wasn't even like over the top pissed off. This was professionally pissed off. Like this was as professional and as pissed off as you can be.
Yeah,
it wasn't no Stephen A. rant yelling.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
They were giving points. They were like, "Yo, what? Like this doesn't make sense." The way they broke it down, it was beautiful. I loved every minute of it. Here's what Danny Kelly of The Ringer said about the Patriot draft. The Patriots put together one of the more confusing drafts I can remember. So they take Cole Strange as a first round pick, the 29th pick. They traded down to get him, right? Most draft boards had this dude like a third or fourth round. To say he was a reach that's an understatement. Yeah. And by the way, that was the theme of the entire draft. You can wait on players. You can wait on a lot of players. Hence quarterbacks, and there were a number of players that you could just wait on at certain positions. One of the themes of the draft. Then they take a wide receiver out of Baylor with the second round pick. They said again that seemingly was a reach in a wide receiver rich draft. Here's what the funny couple of funny ones. They take the Western Kentucky quarterback at round 4, and then like they take 2 running backs, not one but 2. They take a running back in the 4th round, Pierre Strong, and then they take another running back in the 6th round out of South Carolina. and people were just like, what's going on? Like, what are we, what are we doing here? Like, the running game actually was a strength last year. Um, yeah, I've heard people. I've heard almost every draft report, grade report that I've heard is just murdering the Patriots and just having fun with it. And it's like certain guy like there.
Did
I
you
heard
see the clip of Sean McVay? Did I send you that with Sean
no,
McVay
I
laughing?
didn't see that. No, I didn't see that
everyone.
one. What did he say?
It's funny when it came on the Cole Strange pick. They were doing like a press conference. They were just talking because they, Rams don't do first round.
No.
So they were just like having a conference talking about the draft to their reporters. Waiting for the second round, whenever they were gonna pick their pick.
Right.
And the Cole Strange pick. Literally, the GM goes, "Oh my God, Cole Strange from." Where's Utah? Where's he from?
Chattanooga.
In the house. And then Sean McVay goes, "Oh my God." And look at us. We wasted our time looking at him thinking he was going to be available at 103. That's what to your point, no one was thinking about first round. No one, not even the people who are in charge of picking the picks were thinking first round.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right. So my take on this is quite simple. It really is quite simple. It's not about the picks. It's not about the draft. Who knows what's going to happen in the draft, any given draft, right? It's not about that. Here's what it is. Finally, people are calling Bill Belichick out on some of the BS he does. All the flowers will be given to him during his Hall of Fame introduction, right? All that will happen. All we know that. But one of the two places where you can absolutely look at Bill Belichick and go, not quite certain your record holds up here is in drafting and in personnel decisions.
Yep.
The GM part of him, that part is not, this ain't Parcells.
No.
Working over here. This ain't that.
No.
So that's number one. And then number two is just the simplest thing at all. The elephant in the room nobody wants to talk about, but I sure as hell do want to talk about. Life is much more difficult and the scrutiny is much more significant when you don't have Tom Brady.
Well, I think to your point about that, I think another coach in the NBA is dealing with that reality. It has been for the last, let's say 6 years, and that's Greg Popovich with Tim. Like Tim Duncan covered up a lot of just. First of all, I mean, they not only with Tim Duncan, but you also had San Antonio actually had a general manager, like a real GM in terms of R.C. Buford. Like R.C. Buford was great at his job, but to your point, that the great player it covers up for a lot of mistakes, especially in football.
Oh,
in
basketball. No. Your analogy is right on point. It's right on point.
And let's be honest, Scott Pelley did not get enough credit for his time in New England. Like nowhere near enough credit. Scott Pelley actually knew what he was doing, and it's like we get this narrative about we know Belichick is great X's and O's. We understand that motivation, running a team. I mean, running a team from a standpoint of coaching, from a coaching standpoint, gets great assistants. His assistants don't do shit from when they're not around him, but that's whatever. But he picks great assistant coaches and things of that nature that know what they're doing, that know how to coach him up. He's not a general manager. No. We were talking about this, I think, last week with Durant and in Brooklyn. If you're a player who tries to be a general manager and a coach, chances are you're gonna fall on your face and the organization is gonna fall apart. It's not that much different as a coach. Just coach. The general manager and coach, those are two separate jobs.
Now we gotta go deep into New England Patriots psychology. You can't just analyze this as any sports franchise right now.
Right.
It is very clear that the battle between Brady and Belichick was about the battle of control of the entire franchise.
Yep.
And when Belichick won, it is that's what is hilarious about this draft and why so many people are really paying attention to it, because Belichick's been doing this shit for years, just for forever.
Yeah, no, they didn't just start.
Everybody applauded him. Is like, oh, keep trading down. Who's that guy? We don't know who that guy is.
Yep.
But Belichick did it, so it must be he's at X amount of Super Bowls, so it must be correct. The correct decision. Meanwhile, half the guys don't make the roster. We never hear from them again. We don't know what the hell's going on or whatever. But Tom Brady's there. Everything's good.
Yep.
That offense keeps clicking, no matter how much he screws. How many bad receivers he brings in to that offense. Or not the most talented. You know what I'm trying to say.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Or you have one of the great offensive line coaches of all time that can make up for those mistakes that you make with offensive line picks.
So now you don't have those erasers, to your point. You don't have those erasers. The offensive line coach, what is it, Skernecki, right? That was the name.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady, and you don't have those erasers right there. And so now all of this means something now, Belichick. All of this means something. All of it means something. And what everybody is noticing is they're looking at the AFC, and in particular, they're looking at the AFC East and who beat them and how they got beat, and they're going, how do any of these moves do anything against that?
Yep.
Anything. Not one of these moves does anything against that, because coming out of that game, nobody was going, you know what? They need more running backs, another interior offensive line. That'll stop Josh Allen. That'll get him. They'll punt for sure this time around. And of course we need a backup quarterback. Of course, that's what we need right now.
Yep.
Because that also will stop the other contenders in the AFC. So it's just like it is. So if I combine my points, it is Belichick's franchise. Not only, to your point, like when you dive deep into this, it's not only is he the head coach, but literally there have been articles when they lost McDaniels. Who's the offensive coordinator? I guess Belichick's going to do that. Yep. He has his son and a whole bunch of other yes men. There, the front office completely gutted, all his people, everything like that. So there's nobody that can tell Bill Belichick he's wrong.
Nope.
One person is Kraft is out.
Well, no, what's going to happen is what's going to tell him that he's wrong is the
franchise is going to go down with
loss record. That's when you're taking them L's. Yep. So,
and I think this was another eye opener to the league and Patriots fans in particular. Like, wait, hold on. He's not only is he not invaluable, he's really valuable. Like, he's really making mistakes, like big ones, big glaring ones.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, we went from top of the league in a few years, Tom Brady gone, and now we're being laughed at. By other people in the league. So this is what, when you heard that commentary, that's what was so illuminating, is the national media will focus on national things. They'll have the big, everything like that. But when you listen to the local people and them talk about it, it's just so much more gut wrenching, because it's like this powerful figure in their minds is being exposed and is taking their team down with them. The glow of their team with them. We get an early Cleveland Belichick. That's what we get.
Yes.
Or pre-Tom Brady Belichick. However you say.
Yep. No, that's Cleveland. No, that's Cleveland Belichick. That's Cleveland Belichick.
However you want to put it.
Yeah.
Cleveland Belichick, pre-Tom Brady Belichick. That's the Belichick we see it.
Yeah. No.
They get a taste of life without Tom Brady. And
they don't like it at all. If you're somebody who hates the Patriots like you do, it's
not even about hating the Patriots, honestly.
Honestly, it's not even about hating the Patriots. But you hate the Patriots.
No.
You hate the Patriots.
I'm not like with you in Dallas. I made no secret of this. They have emotionally scarred me. I cannot stand that franchise. I wish all the bad things on them for all time in life. And every bit of their misery brings me all the joy in the world. I'm that petty of a person. Absolutely. None of those things are mistakes. But on this one, it's just about acknowledging the reality of the situation.
Yep.
Everybody still, or has up until this point, tiptoed. I think the draft was the tipping point of like, wait, We don't have to be scared of this guy anymore.
No.
And it's like, no, you do not at all.
No. Nope.
Here's the fly on the wall. I want to be a fly on Robert Kraft's wall. So
my goodness.
I just want to hear. I really want to. Woo, boy, oh boy! I know you were. Man, I made the. Did I make the right decision? I made the wrong. I would just love to just sit and listen to him go back and forth over that because they ain't looking so good right now.
Yeah, Robert. You know, keep Tom, get rid of Bill. Yeah. Keep Tom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, you're right. Tom, yeah, you're right. You're right, Tom. But I don't know if you would be this bad right now. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Oh man, they're gonna be fighting. They're gonna be battling with the Jets.
Yep. Yo, if the Patriots fall to fourth in the division, it will be just.
And they are in the wrong conference. The wrong conference. Oh God, they're in the wrong conference.
Yeah, they are.
They're in the wrong.
The mental gymnastics that it will take to make the Patriots anything other than second in the division and out of the playoffs will be tremendous.
Yep.
Will be tremendous. It'll be tremendous. Please tell me how they're gonna beat some of these other teams.
I can't.
Please.
I can't.
Please tell me how.
I can't tell you. I can't. Like I was looking at their rosters for our top NFL rankings post draft, and I was like, I looked at their roster and I was like, ooh, as in comparison to like Cincinnati and Kansas City and Denver and some of those other AFC rosters, even Baltimore. I was like, ooh, it's different. Y'all don't have the same players. No.
At any position.
At any position.
That's the other thing.
At any position. They don't have a top player at any position.
Spotlight, and which makes it so much worse. That's how you know it's so glaring. Because even people who don't pay attention to the Patriots or even things that are evolving in NFL like that are going, wait, hold on. You didn't draft any players that are athletically dominant. Like none. Well, the receiver is fast, but whatever. Like the things that you need to play in this game today, you did none of that. Like zero.
Nope.
Perplexing.
Yep. Question for Sapp. Will athletes eventually take over the sports media?
I think we are, as I texted you, I think we are already in that transition. I think as it with so many things, the COVID accelerated everything.
Yep.
And so when people had a chance to kind of sit by themselves and come up with their own means to keep the conversation going, however that looked, it showed that it wasn't, for lack of a better word, it wasn't that hard to produce for themselves. And actually, when talking about the specific game, they had the requisite knowledge to talk about it, particularly in podcasts, particularly in long form. My complaint with athletes in national media for forever has been, when they get to national media, the thing I want from the athlete is their expertise in their sport. That's what I want from them.
Yep.
But all too often, they just turn into sound bites. And then Charles Barkley happened, and then it just exploded to, I just got to be dumb and goofy all the time. And not give anything, even remotely of an opinion, even a remote insight onto what's actually going on. So I think it absolutely will. I think there's some shifts and turns because I think sports media in general is going to become more niche, meaning they're going to start grasping for the soccer mom, for lack of a better way to phrase it. The average viewer of a sports, the people that come to the Super Bowl party not to watch the game, but to be at the party and to talk about halftime show, that like media will start grasping for them because it will become more niche, especially as like ESPN and different networks, they get locked into a specific streaming service and start really tailoring. their content to specific viewers. So, and I think when that happens, athletes will be a paramount point of it to talk about their various games in those conditions. And the people we think of traditional sportscasters will probably move more into like the play-by-play and the things that are happening during the game because they can think fast in that manner. That's my thought process.
I wonder what the battle is going to be between. I wonder because this is really like the beat writers, the reporters. They're going to do what they do. Like even the sportscasters, they'll be fine from the standpoint. Like the Joe Bucks of the world, they'll always be a place for that in that lane. But I wonder what I was thinking about with this question was the battle between the athletes and say the hot take genre, like that Stephen A, Skip Bayless. Like I wonder what that's going to look like moving forward.
That's dead. That's going to be dead, Surreal. When Stephen, that's going to age out with Stephen.
So that's coming. You think that's coming to an end?
That one's coming to an end. That's dead. That one's coming to an end. Most people are getting really, really tired of the hot take culture. Well, wait, that's very strong for me to say. Most people, I don't know that. Here's what I can say. In terms of when you look at the way that the network ratings are breaking down, particularly over ESPN, right? Like they're still the worldwide leader in the overall aspect of it. When you look at it break down, yes, like Stephen A and his hot takes and things like that, they pop a rating that is decent enough in this day and era. But the overall arching of the hot take shows are very, very, very niche, very niche. The PTI, the Around the Horn, like things like that, and you can see a lot of the different hosts, a lot different. All of them are. They also do the long form as well because even they need more time to break down their sport. So when I say dead, what I mean is, will there be a show like a First Take, hot take show? Yes, but I think it will be localized in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 shows and not the entire landscape. I'm not saying in-depth analysis is going to be the thing that brings people back. I'm absolutely not saying that. I'm saying that the media giants and how things are breaking down are going to move away from sports content as a big mover outside of live sports. And so live sports will be where the money is. And so those individuals that are talented at speaking in very short sound bites, which is what the hot take machine has become, will transition to that live atmosphere. And the shows per se will be more about like the different breakdowns of the various different sports. And for that, you will need more informed people to break that down. And I think that will ultimately be the athletes as they get more and more accustomed to talking about their sport in an entertaining way. And not just X's and O's, because then they lean too heavy into that sometimes.
Yeah, listen, the athletes are here. This is like to your point. This is not going.
No, you're not putting this genie back in the box.
This is not going anywhere because.
No way.
Because here's the thing with the athletes, we got to a point, especially with the hot take lane of it became this cookie cutter. Like everybody, it became a matter of who can come up with the craziest, most outrageous hot take. That's where we're at right now.
There you go.
And with these athletes coming with their own perspective, they're first of all, the podcast is perfect from a standpoint of being able to flush out a point. Society is as a whole is we're obsessed with celebrities. Most of these guys are celebrities, and most of these guys that are coming up are also young. So they check off every box from that standpoint. And I give them credit. I give them a lot of credit. and again, it's like you were talking about Draymond Green podcast. It's a number of podcasts. It's a number of a few other podcasts that I listen to that of athletes that for a different perspective, a more in depth perspective. Just again, what are you thinking during that moment? What do you think about other athletes, other guys you're competing with? That's just something that you cannot get from
No.
Stephen A. Smith. Like, all due respect to him, or even to Skip Bayless. So it was time. I think I'm actually welcoming this shift. To be honest with you, I'm actually welcoming it. The more and more I think about it, because it gives athletes also power to kind of like to not allow their narrative to just be dictated by people who never played the sport. So, to your point, like you said, the genie is not coming out.
Or people that just have their own personal agendas,
or
right?
personal, right? Yes.
Or personal, his career off attacking LeBron James.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
He did it because it built his career.
Yep. Yeah. No two ways about it. Speaking of attacked, this happened, of course, last night. You had Dave Chapelle in LA at the Hollywood Bowl was attacked by I can't even call him a fan, by someone coming out in the front row at one of his shows. It happened so he's telling this joke. This guy basically tackles him to the floor, and then proceeds to get the shit beat out of him when they chase him behind the curtain. The guy
article I read said the suspect had superficial injuries. That's what I know what that means.
Yeah,
I know what that means.
They beat the shit out of him.
Whooping his ass while they was trying to detain him.
Yeah, they beat the shit out of him.
I know what that meant. As soon as I saw it, I laughed. Oh yeah, I know those two. Yeah, they was putting the boots to that dude.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack from this. First of all, the dude had a gun, camouflage, and a knife as well.
Well, knife camouflage as a gun, yeah, which is wild.
Yes, which is like,
when I read that, I was like, that's terrifying.
Dave Chappelle was fortunate to be here. Like, that could have easily been a stabbing, to say the least. Here's what I'll say.
That is to say the least.
To say the least, yes. Here's what I say. First of all, I heard this today, and I'm like, y'all up here talking about shout out to the people around Chappelle for stopping the shit out of him. I'm like, no, not a shout out to them. Like, somebody didn't do their job that motherfucker got on the stage. Period. Like, someone like that. Like, if I'm Dave Chappelle, my security team is fired. Like, what are we talking about? This motherfucker got on the stage and tackled me, and I'm like, there's no way in the world that this should have happened. The bigger issue is how comfortable someone is with attacking another person, and with no regard, zero regard. I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna run on this stage. I'm gonna attack this dude. I've been to a Chappelle show. You can't even get they take your cell phones. You can't even get a cell phone in the show. How this dude got a weapon in the show is beyond me. How is that even possible that he got a weapon in this? This was an enclosed place. This wasn't outdoors or something like that. And again, you had a number of big time comedians there. Jamie Foxx was there. Jamie Foxx is actually one of the ones that helped get the dude. Probably one of the ones that helped probably beat the shit out the dude as well. Chris Rock was there. So we have legendary comedians. You have 3 legendary comedians in the same venue, and the security was shit. What were your thoughts when you heard about this?
I think it's terrifying. Yes. That's the thing. I hear everything that you're saying, and absolutely security beef up all the things necessary. With people were to blame and lax, all that things happen. But the thing that comes to my mind is this is Chappelle on a stage, but people get attacked in real life all the time for no reason.
Yep.
You can't stop crazy.
No.
People get weapons and everything through airport security. This is a comedy show. What ultra security are they going to be able to actually have, right? Like even a celebrity's personal security is only as good as their finances, right? So it's like, yeah, you could do things to make it more safe, but there's no such thing as 100% safe. And so then it gets to the bigger question, like what the hell is going on here? And that answer is super complicated. That's super complicated. And so then because as individual, you can't necessarily solve the world's problems and the world's sickness, then it becomes about personal security. And so then the question becomes, how do you make it as secure as possible? So that my ultimate thought, honestly, was closed shows. You control who gets in those shows. You know who's coming through the doors, and the show is completely closed. That's ultimately where I think this has to go, because you cannot plan for every crazy person. You just can't.
Right.
You can't. And so the only way you can have control on that is have complete control of the invite list. And that will suck for all of us who just like to go. But the way things are going in this world is probably going to be necessary.
Yeah.
Because this isn't going to stop.
No, I mean, here's the thing. Like the scary part, to your point, like that is, I mean, that's going like to a whole nother level. Like you're exactly right. I just don't foresee that, because I think there's just these,
because we've only had one so far.
Right. I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying, with the premise of what you're saying, but I don't foresee that in the future. I think that the scary thing about this is there's going to be somebody, like we've seen with this. Let's be honest. Let's just keep it all the way a buck. There's been an uptick on comedians being attacked since Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Like that's fact. Like
but that's fine. But it doesn't even matter anymore because it's happened and it is reality.
Yes.
And so again, like I hear what you're saying, Ril, but then like we're like, if Chappelle's Killer, we're having a difference. So you're not debating closed shows, right?
No,
so it's just like you can't see it happening. You can't see it happen. Only reason you can't see it happen is because Chappelle didn't die. Right. So like it's like if we both agree this isn't going to stop, then what's the only ultimate conclusion you can come to?
No, my point is it would take somebody to like literally like get killed for it to be a closed show. Right.
And so then like if we just go just in our short, brief level escalation, right? We start with Will Smith, he slapped. Now the next one is a guy with a gun that turns into a knife.
Yep.
Where's the next escalation?
Yeah, I mean, the next one is
so it's easy for us to see it because we're not going on the road, right? We're not a comedian. No. If this is my livelihood, I'm thinking these thoughts and I'm doing something about it. And the thing I'm doing about it is making sure I'm not putting myself in a position where somebody random can run up on that stage on me. Like, let's keep this all the way real. This is not a talking point. This is people's lives.
Yes.
So you got to protect your life because you have a family. You have a business. You have people that count on you. This ain't just about like what you feel like doing in a lot of these cases, especially if part of the motivation, which part of motivation always is in these big spectacular cases, is also to be part of the big spectacular moment. So if the higher stature comedian I am, the more I'm considering closed shows. Mark my words. This is something that's going to be a conversation immediately.
Oh, no, without question. Because to your point, there, like, again, there's no guaranteed security like that. Like, you know, you can't, I mean, the most secure person in the world is the world and the country is the president. Like, they're not getting that level. Like, that's not going to happen.
No,
like, so I guess with the closed shows, I guess, again, this would be, I'll be fascinated to talk about, to have a conversation with some comedians in terms of, like, that's a lot of money to be sacrificed, or like where you
versus your life. Everything you
No,
have
it's
to
not
do
a question. It
versus life.
shouldn't be a question. No, it should not be a question. My question is, will comedians go that route? Like how long will it take to get to that point? Because I agree with you. We're eventually going to get to that point. I just wonder how long will that take? Will that take to get to that point? Or what you like? If I'm Chappelle, Chappelle has the kind of money where it can immediately he could do that tomorrow, today. But I'm talking about for the rank and file comedian that does not make that doesn't have that level of income.
Yeah.
You know, what are their what are
then sadly what will
happen
is sadly what needs to happen will then be like a rank and file comedian has to be seriously injured or killed, and then it becomes a national thing. It becomes like we have a level of security and we have a level of letting people in at every comedy, whatever venue and everything like that. So then it becomes a national thing. This is a significant conversation, and it's a very troubling and dangerous trend. And in order for the amount of publicity to be put on this in a way that it matters and changes how things are viewed, something terrible needs to happen. That's usually how things get changed. Do I hope that happens? No, but I just
we know how the world works, yeah.
In this world. So I think like to your point, what we're ultimately talking about is how long is your money? And the only thing that can support people whose money isn't that long is if there is a national referendum, a local referendum, like where it's like, all right, this is a thing that is becoming a problem nationwide, and this is the way in which we're going to handle it nationwide or statewide or countywide, what have you. But it's you can't stop crazy. You just can't stop it.
No, it's man.
Which is why you don't get on national TV and attack somebody.
Yeah, we knew we knew when that shit popped off what it could lead to. When we had a conversation on this podcast, like we knew what this shit could lead to. Like we knew. Yeah.
Did it, and then sat down and had dinner. So cool. No harm, no foul.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's again, luckily, Chappelle wasn't harmed.
But again, you can't stop crazy, and Will Smith went freaking crazy.
Yeah.
And just did something nobody could even conceive of at that point in time. Just couldn't even conceive. No, that wasn't even a conversation in anybody's anything. Hey, what if a celebrity gets up and slaps another celebrity right in the middle of the Oscars? Like, I guarantee that was not a conversational point at any time.
No.
So, yeah, you can't stop crazy, man. And then once crazy see crazy, there you go. I mean, we do this at the fundamental level with kids. So
yes.
we know how this works.
Yeah.
It finds each other. They gravitate towards each other. The crazy actions, not calling Chris crazy, the actions that don't make sense at the time. That's exciting. And people have similar ideas and see it. It becomes exciting to try to replicate that.
Yeah, no, very scary. Very scary, to say the least. And then, classic Chappelle, he just kept the show moving, kept the show moving, cracked some jokes. Chris Rock got, Will Smith joke off.
Yep, he did. He did to diffuse that tension. Yep.
Yeah. So I guess that's the essence of comedy, finding the humor in something that potentially could have been tragic, from that standpoint. Chappelle, I think moving forward, I think at least for this year, he has, I think the majority, if not all, the rest of his shows are going to be from Yellow Springs, which is his hometown, which, probably the way to go.
Yeah, you control who comes in.
The environment.
No, yep. Absolutely.
Yep. NFL draft post rankings. About a month ago, we came out with our free agent post rankings. A month and a half ago, maybe a little longer than that. I think I chose 5 teams. Or maybe it was more than that. It was very interesting to me looking at what this draft was and what it did to some of these contending teams. Obviously, I have a couple changes at the top. Um, I went with Green Bay being number one. But I know you completely disagree with this, but I love what Green Bay did in the draft. Like those 2 defensive players they got in the first round, those 2 guys from Georgia. Obviously we'll talk about Georgia later on in the podcast, but Georgia, of course, had a record 15 players drafted in a 7-round draft, which is just, is the number speaks for itself.
Yeah, sure does.
How you win a national championship.
There you go.
To say the least. And Green Bay gets 2 of those defensive stalwarts. Both guys will see significant time immediately. Like both those guys are potential starters on a team that is expected to contend for a Super Bowl. The reason why I had Green Bay number one, I think their defense has a chance, frankly, to be dominant. I look what they return already drafting these 2 guys, and then what they return with some guys coming out from injuries. What their defense was, how their defense played last year at the end of last season. Remember that playoff game? It wasn't the defense that was the problem. It was Mr. Rodgers and company. The defense played great in that San Francisco game, and I expect the defense to even be better this year. I was looking at their roster. They are deep at every position. Now, again, the receiving thing, they drafted 2 receivers. They get the guy in the second round. We know what Green Bay does. We talked about this last week in terms of developing receivers, developing positional players in general. And I looked at their draft. They addressed every need. They addressed the receiver. They addressed the offensive line. They addressed some of their defensive needs. What they need to address. They addressed everything. And I look at this as a total team. Now, am I picking the Packers to win the Super Bowl? No. But in terms of, this is just rankings, rankings into before the 2022 season starts, I have Green Bay number one. Your Bills, easily could be number one. I have them number 2. They're right. They have as talented of a roster as any team in the league. It didn't even matter to me what they did in the draft. And I read that they had a good draft as well. And but they got the bottom line, they got Von Miller. That's a Von Miller on top of a number 1 defense, and they already got a franchise quarterback. So the Bills, stay there at could be no less than 2, in my book. You don't love this team, but again, I love what Kansas City is doing in the offseason with some of the picks they've got, especially with some of the acquisitions they made. Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez Scantling. I like him. I love what they did in the draft with the defensive player that they got in the first round. They also, like Green Bay, addressed their defensive needs in the first 2 with their first 2 picks in the first round. They had no choice but to. Green Bay could have won offense if they wanted to in the first round. We would have been fine with it. But we know Kansas City's weakness last year was defensively, so they addressed that immediately with their first 2 first-round picks. Like in terms of, they got high grades for what they did with the rest of the draft. Again, you don't like him as much. I think they will have a bounce back year from the standpoint of, I think they'll be right there contending for a Super Bowl championship. The Rams, of course, great roster. And even with no first, second round picks, had some nice middle to late round picks, as they always do. And they've added a number of free agents that, from a salary cap standpoint, is just what the Rams do. They added, of course, the guy, the dude from Seattle, Bobby Wagner. We know they now traded Robert Woods, but we know they still have Kupp, and they still have Kupp, and again, they still have one of the most talented rosters in the sport. So I had them as 4. You sold me on the Chargers last time. I looked at the Chargers. The Chargers, pound for pound, could go toe to toe with any roster in the sport. That defense, we know Herbert is a beast. What they have on defense is ridiculous. When you talk about Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., they drafted offensive linemen to shore up the offensive line. Again, this is a matter of coaching. Like that is a Super Bowl roster. Now, coaching, we'll see with Zach Staley, and we'll see what happens from a coaching standpoint. But that is a Super Bowl roster. So I had them in 5th. Tampa Bay, of course, with Tom Brady. Little age on the defense, but still a solid defense. We know what they're going to do offensively. Until Tom Brady falls off, I won't believe it until I see it. Here was my jump. Here was probably the shocker out of the ones that you see on this board. The Ravens. The reason why I had to rate now, the Ravens barely made, like the Ravens were on the cusp of the last one. I had them last. Like I had them like last on my list. They barely made the cut, or they were like on the other receiving votes, that part of it. But I
think
love
we both had them out of the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. I think we had them at the top of next in line. That's what I think we had.
They were right on that. I think if I'm remembering mine correctly, they were either 7th, 8th, or just right out, like right at that. Yeah.
So the reason why I put the Ravens, why to put the Ravens so high, they had a draft, and this is no surprise. And the Ravens always draft well, but this draft was ridiculous. First of all, they addressed every need that they had to address. Their defense is going to be back to being like a legit top 5 defense. They had 6 4th-round picks. See, here's the thing about drafting, like, and it's like, to me, it's not as hard as people make it out to be, except at the quarterback position, which is just an inexact science. But just the more picks you have, the better chance you have. The more players you draft, the better off you are. Like just have a bunch of picks, and having somebody like Ozzie Newsome, who I know is not their general manager now, but he's still around. You could clearly see clearly see that this is still one of the best organizations as far as foundations, as far as from that standpoint, player development. They draft this, to me, is going to be similar to. I'm not going to get crazy and compare it to when they got Ray Lewis and Ogden in the same draft. Like that's in all that solidified not a dynasty, but that solidified a team for a decade. And those are 2 Hall of Famers. But I will compare this draft to, say, the Saints in 2017 when they got Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Marcus Lattimore, Marcus Williams, and Alvin Kamara. I think this draft has that type of potential, to be honest with you. I'm very, very high on this draft. I love the fact that they traded Hollywood Brown to get that pick. I love the fact that they traded Hollywood Brown. I understand, Lamar Jackson's not happy, but I think this draft. I'm really high on the Ravens after this. To be perfectly honest with you, I think this draft will be immediately. They'll have guys that can come in right away and play right away. And also, people forget the Ravens. The Ravens were one of the most injury-ravaged teams in the league last year. Like, basically, running backs, secondary, and despite that, they basically were in every game. So they're not like that far away from contending status. We'll see. And again, we've had our discussions with the Ravens about offensive philosophy, what they're going to do with the quarterback situation. I understand that. Again, this is not me picking them to go to the Super Bowl. This is just the rankings. Cincinnati is an easy 8. I had Tampa twice. That's a typo. I'm sorry about that. Cincinnati 8 and Denver. I guess I could put 9. I would put Vegas 9 and Denver 10. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was looking at the list. I was like, I don't actually have any really negative feedback, or not negative feedback, but have any pushback on the list. I think that all of the draft. Look, the way I look at draft is that like I'm more of a traditionalist. We'll be able to really rank the draft 5 years down the road, yada yada yada. Right. And so then that's why I really was drawn to your point about what the Ravens did and what the Chiefs and the Packers did, because then that's ultimately what I, as a fan, want to know from the most recent draft, right? Like, what are the most impactful NFL players that can potentially impact this roster this year that you got, right? And in a lot of cases, it's not that easy to see. And then there are other cases when they come from big programs like Georgia and Alabama and the ones who are winning national championships and literally have NFL rosters on their teams. Those are the teams that I want to know about. I want to know what they did. And you pretty much named every single one of them. And those are the moves that as a team that is competing against those teams with actual aspirations for the Super Bowl, those are the moves that make me nervous. And so I could not agree with you more. What the Ravens did made me nervous. I was ready to laugh at them a lot this year, and now I'm like, oh, they did make them nervous. I think your assessment of my assessment of Kansas City and Green Bay might be a little off. It's not that I don't like those teams. It's just that their standards aren't playoffs.
Right.
Their standards
Super Bowl,
are
Super
Bowl, and then particularly we're talking about Super Bowl next season. Do I trust Andy Reid to navigate that franchise? Can I see what he's doing? Absolutely, in terms of not relying on single players, but diversifying the offense, yada, yada, yada. I can see all of that. But does that make them a better team next year? And do I want my Bills to win the Super Bowl next year? Absolutely. Yep. So that's when I say with Green Bay and with Kansas City, the moves they made this offseason made them less likely to win the Super Bowl this year. And I don't think the draft changed that all that much. But I will say to you, the teams that I trust in drafting are and picking positions and being very, very dutiful about that. Green Bay and Kansas City rank at the top of that list. So yeah. I do not discount anything they do in the draft, like anything they do in the draft. With that being said, the other team that I just, I can't get out of my head and I said are the Chargers. I honestly can't believe how good they look.
They're loaded.
I honestly can't.
I was looking at that depth
I'm just
chart.
like,
this.
Everybody should be talking about them as a definitive. And you're right. It comes down to that coaching question. That's the only reason you can't put it. But in terms of roster construction, they're loaded. Oh my goodness, that team is terrifying.
Oh my goodness,
that team is terrifying. And that's the other thing with Kansas City. I just like I like what the other teams did in their division so much more. So that division, as we all know, is just going to be such a problem. It's just going to be such a problem. That's my assessment on that. And then I agree with you. I was a little bit disappointed in Cincinnati. I thought they would be a little bit more flashier than they actually were. But again, the subtle moves, I just can't. There's no way for me to be able to for real sit here with a straight face and say I can really, really break down these moves and say if it's really good or bad. So we'll see on that. But in terms of the teams that you highlighted and the big time programs that they drafted from and the names that I'm familiar with, I could not agree more with your assessments.
So those
are the boards that worry me.
Yeah, no two ways about it. The big story in the draft was, of course, where the quarterbacks.
Cole Strange. It was Cole Strange.
Well, Cole Strange, yeah. Besides Cole Strange, besides
from Wichita. Where is he from?
No, Chattanooga.
Chattanooga. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Chattanooga.
The Volunteer State, Tennessee.
Right. Chattanooga. That big time program known as Chattanooga. Yeah, that one. Okay, sorry. That's not the biggest story. You're right.
Oh goodness. You know what jumped out to me too.
Aren't the Patriots brilliant? Don't they always make the best moves ever?
This
right?
one move. It was
Huh?
one move that jumped out to me
I'm wrong.
about how not to run a franchise. It just, I just
Draft Cole Strange in the first round.
yeah, no, Cole, yeah. Besides Cole Strange, so
Okay.
so Carolina, right? So Carolina takes Corral out of Corral, the quarterback, out of Mississippi, right? And in the third round. Cool, okay, third round, whatever. You can reach for a quarterback at that point. That's fine. But they didn't have either they didn't have a second or third round. They didn't have a I think they didn't have a second or fourth round pick. And it's like, okay, well, why is that? You get so many moves get made, you forget why they're missing picks. Well, they're missing those picks because they trade those draft capital for the great Sam Darnold. So it's like it's shit like that. That's why those franchises, Sam Darnold, the great, you never heard Sam Darnold?
That was a mistake. They might want those picks back.
I'm sure you would want those picks back for Sam. I'm sure you would want those picks back. Those are the moves that destroy your franchise. Like that trading a guy who you do not want starting this year for you at all. You don't want Sam Darnold starting for you, and then you lose two picks. In rounds that you can get players in the second and fourth round. That's what kills your franchise.
That's not good roster management at
all. So they were missing hold on, because I actually have it right here in front of me because I have Carolina. So what did they do? They had okay, so yes, general manager Scott Fitter didn't have second or third round picks after using those assets in trades for Sam Darnold and CJ Henderson. So yeah.
It's not a good move.
Yeah. Yeah. So they must have traded to get a third round pick. They traded to get Corral. But yeah, giving up giving up a second or third round picks because for Sam Darnold and CJ Henderson, that's how you lose. That's how you lose 10 to 12 games a year.
It is. That's pretty much the exact way you do it.
Yeah. So the other big story outside Cole Strange was the fall of the quarterbacks. And there have been very few drafts in the history where the talent evaluators and teams hated the quarterback class. Kenny Pickett was the first quarterback drafted at 20 for Pittsburgh. And I know a Pittsburgh fan that absolutely hated that pick. Hated it. Because he played at the University of Pittsburgh and he did not want Kenny Pickett. So he gets taken 20th. That's the latest a quarterback has been taken since 1997. The great Jim.
Can I just pause you really quickly? Sorry.
Go ahead.
All these franchises that have had these Hall of Fame quarterbacks, welcome to real life.
Yep. Welcome to life in the wilderness. Welcome to life in the
wilderness. You don't like your team reaching for a quarterback? You mean you can't just draft a Hall of Fame quarterback every year? No, you can't. No, you can't. Actually, happens like
happens
one
to everybody.
Every generation.
It happens to everybody.
Pittsburgh, so sad.
Yep.
Yeah,
you got 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Yeah, you just gonna have to. Yeah, you're gonna be drafting a lot of these guys. Get used to it. Get ready. Yeah. Life comes too fast. It does.
So
yeah, the Patriots and the Steelers. I have the smallest violence.
No, nor should you. Pickett goes 20th, and there are people that thought that was a reach, that you could have got him in the second and possibly even the third round. So after that, right? So he goes 20th overall. After that, you have a quarterback that didn't get drafted until the third round. Ritter to Atlanta. Then you had Willis to Tennessee. Corral, of course, to Carolina. Bailey Zappi, the legendary Bailey Zappi to New England in the fourth. Sam Howell to Washington, and then and so on and what have you. So it's safe to say that this that the NFL hated this class. I found it kind of curious because I was I was like, I was just wondering, right, how many, and I did a little bit of research, like how many quality quarterbacks have they been that have been drafted outside the first round in the last 10 years. And here's the list I came up with. This is going from last draft from last draft to the 2012 draft. So
I hate this conversation, Real, because this is where every effing Patriot fan chimes
go
in.
here's so 20
list.
so
I
28
hate this list.
so 2018. This actually technically was still first round. 2018, you had Lamar Jackson. He was a 32nd pick. So he actually shouldn't even be on this list because I said outside the first round. He actually was a first round pick. 2016, fourth round pick, Dak Prescott. 2014, second round pick Jimmy G. Second round pick Derek Carr.
Okay, I see. I appreciate what you did here.
2012, third round pick Russell Wilson. Third round pick Nick Foles. Fourth round pick Kirk Cousins. So let me disregard Lamar Jackson because he went in the first round. So since 2012, right? There have only been, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that I would consider quality quarterbacks that have gotten drafted outside of the first round. And I say that to say, first of all, I say that to say that this, by that measure, by that metric, that this probably was one of the smartest quarterback draft, like one of the smartest quarterback drafting ever that we've seen. That we've seen in a long time. And it just has not paid off to reach to reach for quarterbacks. This is why you don't reach for a quarterback. Like, it's very, to me, that concept, I never understood why teams could not grasp that concept. And Rob, that wasn't, I didn't like, do you know how many first round picks that I looked over that who were just garbage?
I agree with this assessment so much. Keep going. I could
No,
not.
I
agree.
mean, it was a fascinating.
Keep going. Preach.
It was very fascinating because I'm looking at that, and then I'm looking at how many fucking first round quarterbacks who were just god awful. I mean, god awful. I mean, we're talking Trubisky's. We're talking about like Geno Smith's. I don't think Geno Smith was first round actually. But there were a number of just first round dudes that you like that. Some of them are not even.
We're gonna go back to Gino Torretta, right? Gino Torretta, like 80s 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
littered.
No, it's littered. I mean, fucking Heath Schuler out of from my team back in the day.
I forgot about Heath Schuler. Oh God, wow.
Heath Schuler, the great Heath Schuler.
Oh, I remember that. That was painful. I remember that.
Oh my goodness.
Woo.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. I was just like, ooh, this is not good. This is not good.
So
it's not good.
The point is like, it's really, I think, like, yeah, it's very hard. I mean, it's like, it's an inexact science in terms of drafting a quarterback, but it's, you know what this exercise made me realize, that it's actually not as hard as as people make it out to be honest with you.
If you don't make the guy more than he is.
Yes.
Not hard at all. It's like, oh, nope, he's not that good. No, he's not going to magically develop these skills.
So
in training camp.
Like, let me give you, all right, I'll give you a perfect example of a recent one that everybody was just went gaga over. Mitch Trubisky out of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. He had made like a handful of college starts. I mean, a handful out of North Carolina, not basketball North Carolina, football North Carolina, which I don't know, not known as a hotbed football place. I'm just saying.
Nope.
You reach for this guy, and I'm like, what? So we're reaching for, huh? What? This is why Chicago Bears have never had a quarterback since forever. Mitch Trubisky. Like, we could have saw it. We saw that coming a mile away. Like, he hasn't played.
They don't do quarterbacks in Chicago. That's not.
No, they don't do. No, they don't.
That's not a thing for them.
No, they don't. They don't do quarterbacks. But if you look at a lot of first round busts, I guarantee you could say a lot of you probably should have saw coming. Probably should have saw coming over the course of NFL history, a recent NFL history.
Excuse me.
So this was a very fascinating exercise.
But no, I definitely want to chime in on this.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead.
I definitely want to chime in on this. Like I said, I could not concur more of a fair statement at all. I could not agree more with this. It has always been my favorite one is Christian Ponder.
Christian Ponder. I forgot about that.
I could not believe I couldn't believe it. It's just like, what? And it's just like, it is total reach all the time. It's total reach. And it was like this. So the thing that I enjoy, like when you first brought up this topic and then you first introduced it right now, the thing that came up into my mind was just finally teams just did it smarter this time. If the guy's not there, he's not there. Don't create a guy from someone that is there that doesn't exist. And all the time, the draft experts and the everybody would just make the jokes like, yep, we know how it's going to go. There's going to be a full season of tape on this guy. Then he's going to get to the combine. He'll do something, throw a little bit longer or run a little bit faster. And then now everybody will explode over him. I think there's two paths to this, right? One path is you got a guy, you got measurables and intangibles, that you've identified as an organization, and you draft that guy. Cool. You draft it wherever. Cool. Or you admit to yourself, that guy's a project. I think over a couple years, we'll be able to develop him here. But we're going to draft him in a position where he's an effing project.
Yeah.
Not third, fourth pick overall, seventh pick overall. I think Minnesota had the ninth pick that year, something like that. Seventh or ninth pick that year. It's just like, no, that's insanity. You're going over a player who's much more talented and practiced in their particular skill position over this person who either doesn't exist and you just want them to be that, or you want to admit to yourself that they're a project and you're drafting way too high. So to me, it was just like, finally, NFL teams were smart this one. It was obvious the guy it might have to be just like knock you in the head, obvious, fine, whatever. But at the very least, at least for one draft, they took the cue that said they're not this good.
Right.
And we're not going to reach for them.
Nope.
So I really appreciated that.
I've always gone by the theory when it's come to quarterbacks. If I don't feel like this guy is a potential franchise quarterback, I'm not taking him in the first round.
Nope.
Period. If he doesn't knock me off my if I don't feel like this guy's a potential franchise to championship quarterback, we know their levels. They're franchise. They're like Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck. Peyton Manning, those are easy. But there are also guys who were not as good as those guys who were also who had franchise level talent. Like Stafford had franchise level talent. Take it number one. No problem with it. There are other guys as well that fall in that category. But it's really not as hard as they make it out to be. It's really like either that guy is it or he's not. If I had to talk myself into taking this guy, no. It's not. I'm not doing it. Like there was talk that Willis from Tennessee was going to be people. There was talks that he could be a top 10 pick. I was like, what? 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 Like top 10.
Stop. Yeah, stop. Everybody stop.
Like,
I just knew, honestly, I knew somebody was going to reach. So it was.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly shocked. I'm pleasantly not surprised. I'm pleasantly shocked.
It really was. It really was. I knew a quarterback was going to go in the top 10.
Yes.
Somebody was going to do something weird and crazy and just desperate.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it like I said, this was one of the from a quarterback standpoint, this was one of the smartest drafts that I can remember in recent memory. We've seen quarterback reaches in particular, especially in the last 5 to 6 years, it's been like, huh? What? I pretty much I watched a lot of college football. I don't think that he's nice in this system. He's pretty good, but NFL first round potential franchise guy, nah. You can wait for him in the second round, or maybe or even possibly the third round. All right, who won the week for you?
Georgia is a great pick. It really is a great pick. Georgia is a great pick. I mean, I've been watching so much NBA basketball.
Yep.
It's hard for me not to go there. And so I think I'm just gonna go who won the week. The basketball karma won the week.
Oh, good one.
Yeah,
Good one.
between what happened to Brooklyn and what's going on with Philly and other things, I think basketball karma won the week.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. If you didn't hear earlier, of course, Georgia had 15 players drafted.
Yeah,
15,
that's a really good.
Yeah,
that's
it's been a great year for Georgia football. Like you win the national championship over Alabama, your dreaded, hated rival who you could never beat in the big spot, and you have bragging rights over LSU and Alabama as far as like, hey, you've never had this many players drafted. So
yeah,
they like that is like, yeah, Kirby Smart is, living a good life right now.
he winning. He definitely winning.
You can't tell Kirby Smart.
You slay that dragon. You win. You win.
Because I knew they were gonna have a lot. I knew they were gonna have a lot of defensive guys, but I didn't like. I was like, whoa, 50. When I heard that, and I was like 15. I was like, damn. Oh, wow, okay. So yeah, this I had Georgia win the week. But the basketball karma definitely was one of the winners. That like this is how what is going, like I said, to your earlier point, it's going to force the NBA to kind of shift how things are done, also leading to we mentioned his last podcast about we actually want players to play to get paid to play for pay. Like we actually want, like, you get paid, we actually want you on the court. How about that? How about that?
It would be helpful. That would be helpful.
So yeah, all right. Like, so there, it has to get worse before it gets better, but it's something that needed to. It's something that had to happen. Like the way things were going, these low management and the super teams. It was going to destroy the league. To be honest with you, it was going to destroy the league. So, every so often things have to kind of be reset and and redone. And again, that's we mentioned this earlier last podcast. There's going to be, the owners are licking their chops right now. Like they're ready for war in terms of this, like this Ben Simmons thing and the pay. They are, this shit is about to stop. They like this. Yeah, we're not paying you to sit on the bench. Like this is going to stop. So it'll be for the best. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast. As always, thanks for Robert Sapp for joining me. I know he enjoyed the Cole Strange and the New England Patriots.
That was a welcome surprise. That was a welcome surprise. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
And we'll continue to enjoy the New England misery as their fans just have to just, sit in this.
They have to join reality. They have to join real life.
Real life. Welcome to the real world. All right, Mr. Sapp, take it light.
All right, you have a good one.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast. I will have this podcast up later on this evening. Enjoy the NBA action. Enjoy the rest of your evening. This podcast, of course, was sponsored by All Calculated Measures. Shout out to Adrian McDonald and his clothing line. You can check it out at my. I'll put it up on my Instagram page when I as one of my posts. So again, enjoy your evening and the rest of your week. I'll see you next time.